Fucking UVTV, motherfucker. I'm at the kick spiritual ass and do this for my people. On God. Neon nigga for Featherman, yeah. And today I'm gonna be talking about how physical body count does not matter. It's the intentions and mental health behind why the count is like that in the first place. So, in general, right, your first body is your light body. So that's the metaphysics behind your physical body. So that's your mind, your psyche, the subconscious realm, and then making it conscious, making it physical, making it real, make it something you can see with the physical eyes and stuff like that. And I already know motherfuckers will be looking at me talking about something, oh, you talking about light bodies and shit like that. You talking about your first mind and the psyche and psychology and shit like that. So your ass sound like you pseudo and shit like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the minute I start going down that train of thought, line of reasoning and shit like that, motherfuckers already going to discredit the shit just because of the type of terminology and the words I'm using, even though you see that in actuality and every day. Y'all don't be caring about y'all first body, y'all mind, and then it start getting condensed into the adrenaline, the blood, the blood, sweat, and tears, and the actions and the reaction and the responses and the things you paying attention to, and you start to expand on that awareness and that attention span, and then you actually start acting out that passion in real time and stuff like that. Anything that you're doing in the physical is just an externalized version of what you already have in your mind onto based upon the intentions you have in your mind in general. So that's your first body. That's your first shape and form. That's why in general it's ideas, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. It's a thought form. It's a formulation, and you can't stop that. You can't turn, like, it's not some stoicism type of concept like what's the nigga name, like Plato or like Aristotle, some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not no stoicism concept. You're never gonna stop having a thought. You're never gonna stop having a feeling. You're never gonna start emanating emotions and shit like that. And then before you start doing that, you're observing it. So the same way how Buddhist motherfuckers and stuff like that, and motherfuckers who be sitting in this style doing meditation and shit like that, and they be sitting there all like, oh yeah, you supposed to turn off your thoughts. You supposed to turn off your feelings. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to turn off emotions and stuff like that, and be at a clairvoyant type of perspective and try to be all zen and you know what I'm saying? Like Zen and a calm mind and all that type shit, right? So in a sense, they ain't lying. You meditating on it, but from you meditating on it, you're just going back into the observer space. And that in itself is the unconscious realm or stuff like that, or the spiritual realm. So it's the space that you in, because your spirit is your space, and your spirit is in no shape and form. So before you started emanating a thought, idea, feeling, or emotion, it's just the space you in. And based upon you doing that within the mind, when you said you actually concentrate on that, when you meditating, right, you're observing the thoughts, ideas, feelings, or emotions that you having, but you letting them go in one ear and out the other. You're not focusing and honing in, trying to fixate on it so long, and you know what I'm saying, overthink or overwhelm, and you ain't stuck in that one mind frame. You have that one thought formulation, and you let it pass, and you move on to the next thought form and to the next one. You're going through natural transitions and stuff like that. So from the fact, if you don't got your light body together, your psyche, your mentality together, right? Your mental realm and actuality, that's all the mentality is your mental realm and actuality, which is just your thoughts, ideas, feelings, and then it accumulates into a specific emotion, and you act that out, and we see that. You emoting, you moving, you showing your fluid, you showing the esoteric emoji and shit like that. You showing the esoteric appearance of how that looked like. You're the face representation of that specific feeling that you was in. Because there's a difference between feelings and emotions. You can feel something, but you don't know how to describe that emotion. And then that's why we have different emojis to describe different feelings. Because it's that specific feeling, and we call that the emotion. Because the emotion is just an accumulation of that thought and idea, and it starts turning into an emotion. It starts turning into a feeling, and then it accumulates into an emotion. That specific reaction and response. That's why you can have an emotion of being sick. You can have an emotion of feeling happy. You can have an emotion of feeling depressed. You can have an emotion of being astonished and shocked and shit like that. You can have an emotion of being cheerful, but all those things are feelings, and that emotion came out of that feeling. Now, going from there, boom, we have body counts. If you have a body count, that means you fucking a whole bunch of different people, right? So from you taking your sentient space that you in, and you have a dick or a pussy and stuff like that, and y'all becoming attracted together, and you have sex with them, right? From the body count, it start going up from how many different people you do that with. Now, sex in general, right? You taking one energy and combine it with a polar opposite energy, and you condense and combine it together to make a new energy. And then, in a sense, right, that get applied out of sex. So y'all be having sex in the mind first. You take one resonant energy that resonate with another polar opposite energy, and then you combine it together, and it creates a new energy out of that. So again, like I just said, you having sex in the mind. You having sex mentally. Look at that as, oh, you're around another person who resonate with the same way how you think and how you feel. The same way when you horny, right? And when you horny, right? and then you're around someone else who makes you horny as well, and y'all feeling each other, y'all fucking with each other, y'all going on dates, y'all in the same spaces, y'all creating the same type of things, y'all live the same type of lifestyle and stuff like that, and y'all are attracted to each other physically and mentally to an extent, to a degree, right? Because y'all think about the same type of things for the most part, right? So that's y'all mentally doing that. It's really like a spiritual thing, and it starts to condense into the mind because you start to really get to know the person and shit like that, and you fucking with their vibe. You fucking with their vibe. Y'all in the same space, the same vibe, right? And y'all both resonate to those two things together from y'all being individual souls, right? And y'all are, you know what I'm saying, trying to blow up and expand that energy and that awareness of the main thought and idea. Y'all being horny. So one's gonna have a horny thought and another person's gonna have a horny thought, and y'all resonating that same spark together and shit like that, right? So like I just said, sex is you taking one energy and you taking the polar opposite energy, and then y'all combine it into a new type of energy. So that's like a person having a horny thought, and then you have someone of the opposite sex, like a female or something like that. If this was a male, this would be the female. She's also horny. Y'all combine those horny thoughts together, and then it turns into y'all having physical sex and stuff like that. But y'all had to do that in the mind first. Y'all had to consensually agree in the mind, oh, we're both horny, so let's just fuck, and we both attracted to each other, and let's make a new feeling out of that. So that's like the post-nut clarity or whatever and stuff like that, or that's the sensation of actually doing it in the physical in some way, shape, or form. And y'all both was in that same space, that same vibration, and y'all just resonated it together until it got condensed into the physical, right? So y'all be doing that on a day-to-day basis all the time. So look at how you take another energy and combine it with another energy, you combine it, you turn that into a new energy. That's like you having some type of dream, passion, aspiration, motivation, intent behind like you trying to accomplish a dream or some shit like that, right? And you come up with this thought and idea to make that shit happen. Oh, okay, let me put in the first steps of how I'm going to get to A, B, C, to D, to the promised land. So that's like you having a thought of one day I want to make $1 million. So you're going to start adding on to that thought. So when you start adding on to that thought, you start you know what I'm saying? The minute you add more and more to that thought, it's going to start turning into a feeling. So you want to have that feeling of what it would like to feel to have $1 million, correct? Right? So based upon you feeling the need to be in that feeling, you're going to have a specific emotion get created out of that. Oh, how would I feel, and what's the specific emotion I would feel if I were to actually accomplish that dream of getting $1 million? So you started adding more to it and stuff like that. So you took one thought and you added another thought to it to make a new thought out of it, and then eventually it turns into that feeling, and then you add up one feeling to another feeling, and then it's gonna get a specific emotion out of that. Y'all do this in the mind all the time, type shit. You know what I'm saying? So then it starts to accumulate into physical conscious experiences and stuff like that. So you was in that space spiritually, right? And you make a thought form, a mindset out of it, and then it condenses into the physical based upon the attention and what you put in your time into, and you try to make it matter. You want to that thing is going to turn into something that matters to you, to the point to where I want to condense it and make it play out in the physical in some way, shape, or form. So that's literally manifesting and materializing. Manifesting is men and women, right? You're manifesting men and women, masculine and feminine energies, giving and taking, external, internal realm, right? Externalizing, internalizing. And you combine those things together to where you have the masculine side and the feminine side, the feminine side. Because as spirits, we are androgynous. We're gonna have a masculine thought, and we're gonna have a feminine emotion and feeling, and we combine those two things together and marinate on that to make it actually manifest and materialize into the physical based upon what we're paying attention to, and based upon what we're paying attention to, we're putting our time into it. So we wanna attract that feeling into our lives, and then it actually get played out into the external. But you have to go through that process of you know what I'm saying, this natural process in the mind, that light body, that mentality of what it would feel like if you did do that. So you had to believe into that mentality enough and put in that due process and that work to try to get it grounded and you know what I'm saying, get it stable and shit like that, right? Towards eventually you actually experience that in the physical. You end up actually getting $1 million, but then you probably had to go through the process of getting $10,000. How's it gonna feel when you get 10K? How's it gonna feel when you get 100K? How's it gonna feel when you get 500K? And then it's gonna turn to $1 million, because God is only gonna give you what you can handle. God is just all possibilities. So from you trying to play out all possibilities in the physical and so on, shape, or form, you have to go through different processes of what it feel like before you even get to that final one. So it's about the ups and downs that you go through in general, from you trying to accomplish that passion, motivation, dream, and experience from an overall totality perspective. You have to see what it is in totality. So you're going to experience every nick and cranny, every up and down, every boundary, restriction, limit, every, you know what I'm saying? Like trying to gain more endurance and mental resilience to actually get that shit done. And you ain't letting that thing hold you back and it's heavy and depressing. You trying to lighten up your load, right? You trying to lighten up your load, and you're not letting things that's happening to you bog you down and make you depressed, or you have emotional baggage, so you can keep staying light and mentally fit and exercising mentally in the mind and shit like that, because you're mentally fit. So if you're mentally fit, that means you're mentally light in your lighter shape and form. So you're staying into that mentality. You're not getting sidetracked by other people's mind states or other people's ideas or other people's narratives or what other people say, or motherfuckers say you looking delusional. No, I'm gonna take this illusion that I'm in, this vision that I'm in, and I'm making this dream and imagination into some type of creativity, and I'm gonna create and cultivate something for myself to make it actually happen in actuality. And that's the actual magic in itself. Y'all ain't gonna say that shit ain't no fucking magic. Y'all ain't gonna say that, because you wouldn't be here right now then. You wouldn't be sentient. You wouldn't have your own mind, because no one else can read your mind. No one can see the vision that you got. No one got that same dream that you got, like, and see it the same way how you see it. No one else has your imagination. You're emanating that, and you observing it. You're observing thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions. And then it just turned into the physical and shit like that. So you was the walking emanation of that. You're a walking sun, walking moon. You was the walking emanation of I'm trying to go down this path because this is the type of life I'm trying to create for myself. So it's the epitome of, oh, I'm gonna make the impossible look like it's possible. I'm gonna take all possibilities and try to let some of that flow through me, and I'm gonna try to make that actually look like it's a thing you could actually do. You could get a monetary gain out of it. Oh, you can actually accomplish that. Oh, that's a thing that actually could become reality based upon what I'm paying attention to and the intentions. And I attract that energy around me based upon the space I'm in esoterically. So that's the epitome of taking the space that I'm in, aka the spirit, no shape and form, and turning nothing into something. What's the sum in the quantity of that thing? That quantity is a whole big ass accumulation of ideas, thoughts, feelings, and emotions that I was in. And I'm trying to resonate, and you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to resonate. I'm having sex in the mind and shit like that, pleasurable sex in the mind, the adrenaline, blood flow, motivation to make that shit actually happen in actuality and stuff like that. And that's really it. You turn nothing into something. We be seeing that shit every single day with fucking entrepreneurs and celebrities and business people, and you know what I'm saying? Like a motherfucker moving up in life, they're accomplishing their dreams. Oh, they end up getting $1 million. Oh, they end up getting that dream car. They end up getting that dream house. They end up finding their dream partner and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it was naturally resonating with what the fuck they like, and it was being themselves and actually using their talent, gift, capability, power, control. You know what I'm saying? Like the things they're actually capable to do, because they're just being themselves and they know themselves and they know how far they can go with that, and they actually was sitting there and try to utilize that. So you're utilizing your mind. You're utilizing that thought and the power of you having that ability and that capability to actually do that based upon you figuring out some type of charismatic gift or talent that only you know how to do. You know your expertise. You know the skill set. You know what you're good at. Like for the most part. So I'm saying all that to say it's going to lead into this conversation about why physical body count don't matter. So if we take everything I just fucking said, right? If your light body is the first mind, the first body before it becomes your physical body, and then we make technology tools out of the flesh in some shape and form. When y'all be trying to have that argument, oh, this bitch got this bitch fucked 35 niggas because this not a third. Oh, she a hoe. See, that's a whole different convo that I'm probably gonna make another video on, about why y'all be having this negative connotation when it comes to hoes and shit like that. Because y'all be prostituting y'all capabilities and y'all mind into other people's industries, other people's businesses and shit like that, instead of making your own business and owning your own shit and owning your own masters and stuff like that. You be signing their contract, and they got the intellectual property of your imagination, your creativity, and you can create that into their industry because they're gonna give you $1 million with their faces on it, and God we trust, our providence, and all that type shit. So I'll be sitting there like, yeah, so y'all want to do that, but because it gets so normalized and stuff like that, y'all be trying to look at it like, oh, you're not doing the same thing, when you is doing the same thing. Spiritually, you're in the same space. You're doing the same thing. It's just one person is actually able to come to terms on what the fuck they doing, and they actually have the capability to handle that more than you can when it comes to doing that in the physical and fucking a whole bunch of different niggas or fucking a whole bunch of different bitches and shit like that, right? So you can sit there and you can go sign that deal and you can go up in your price and shit like that. But when someone start fucking a whole bunch of niggas and bitches and shit like that, and they start going up when they body count, you be looking at it like, oh, you can't do that. You just some whore and shit like that. Oh, you need to go get with God. Go get with the Abrahamic God, the monotheism God, or the Buddhist God, or whatever religion that be out here and shit like that that y'all be kicking. Oh, you getting lost into sin and shit like that. You getting lost into something because da 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 da. You need to understand That is the intentions and the mental health behind the count. Why did they fuck them niggas? Why are they trying to you know what I'm saying? Why are they trying to resonate with other people's mind states and stuff like that? Because y'all be doing that every day. Y'all be looking for community, right? Y'all be looking for you know what I'm saying? Like community and other people who resonate with the same things you into for the most part, right? So you don't feel like you're alone. A natural process that humans like to do is human connection. So you feel like, oh, who else is connecting with the same things that I'm into and shit like that, right? So you're a sentient brain, essentially, a sentient person who has his own brain and awareness, and you trying to hang around other sentient beings that resonate with the same energy that you in for the most part, right? So you want to have sex taking two different energies and resonate and make it another energy. So you want to have a big community of people who have the same thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions that you got, and have the same passion, the same outlook, the same worldviews that you got and stuff like that. So y'all come together as a collective, as a tribe, as a village, as a culture, whatever the fuck you want to call that shit. Y'all doing the same thing, just a lighter shape or form of what that is. So your light body before it becomes a physical body. So if you can do that on a lighter scale, why you get on somebody who do that on a fleshly scale and shit like that? So it's kind of like if y'all be doing that and y'all be powers in that same thing, y'all look at it like, oh, this motherfucker a hoe because they fuck this down the third based upon what they experiences, based upon their experiences and shit like that. But y'all not asking the actual questions. What's the intention in the mental health behind why they doing that in the first place? When you sit and you ask them, why'd you fuck all them niggas and shit like that? Some of them might say, oh, I did it for money and monetary gain and gold digger reasons and shit like that, right? Some people will sit there and be like, well, I was actually sexually abused when I was younger and shit like that, and I use that as a mental crutch, and I act super over sexual because I don't know how to maintain my sexual energies and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You need to understand the mental health behind why they doing it in the first place. Because it be some niggas who be out here who be having STDs and females who be having STDs and they don't be letting motherfuckers know, and they be fucking just in the buck wild and shit like that, and they never, and then the person who they fuck never asked to get tested and shit like that, or they probably got manipulated and they was lying about it and stuff like that. So you could look at that as, oh, they just had poor dick management or they had poor pussy management, but y'all don't know the archives and the archons and the mysticism behind the history behind why they fucked that many people in the first place and shit like that. Because from the fact they was able to attract and have that many people they fucking in the first place, they had to do it based upon some type of intent. They was doing it for some type of motivation. So y'all need to understand the intent and motivation behind why they doing that. And I know I'm saying rhetoric right now to where motherfuckers gonna be sitting there all like, oh, so you just believe turning a hoe into a housewife because of this, down the third. Like I was saying earlier, y'all be prostituting y'all mind all day into other people's industries, y'all light body, y'all thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, y'all dreams and imagination, and you never even sit there and try to be on some entrepreneurship type of energy or creating your own thing of how to look at that thing and try to connect with other people who resonate with it naturally for the people. You go join some fucking Jewish industry and shit like that, and you let that do them to you, so they pimping you out, right? They pimping you out. They prostituting your mind, your creativity. They own your masters. You a slave to their industry. You a slave to their monetary gain. You're a slave to their mentality. You're a slave to their money. You turn towards you. Yeah, I turn towards you. That's what you're doing. You're doing the same shit though. So like, and I know motherfuckers will be like, oh, that's different because of this, that, and the third. You're getting lost into the flesh the same way how a nigga gonna fuck a million bitches or a bitch gonna fuck a million niggas and shit like that. You still getting lost into the flesh. You wanna know why? Because you getting lost into the monetary gain. You getting lost into the physical and the technology that get made out of the physical. So look at that as like dating apps and meeting a whole bunch of different people and stuff like that because you like having sex in the flesh. But if you like having sex in the flesh like that, means you like to resonate and do that in the mind first, and that's the mentality and space you in. Cause yeah, that's why we be having different cultures and shit like that, or different groups of people when it comes to, especially in the Middle East, when they be having multiple wives and shit like that. They be doing it based upon a fucking business perspective. That's why they be having that many wives, cause they trying to make some type of culture or some type of village or have some type of communion out of that. That's why they be having that's why they be having that many wives and shit like that. To them, it's just their culture. It's just their shit, and then that's what naturally resonate with them. So when y'all be self-projecting, oh, this monotheism, which, bruh, all that shit is man-made concepts. When y'all be talking about this monotheism and the polytheism, and this conversation, that's just a derivative version of what became monogamous relationships and polygamy relationships. And then y'all be talking about what be right and wrong and the ethnic use of this, that, and the third of what people need to go with when it comes to society and how they're supposed to conduct their relationships and shit like that. When all of these things are man-made concepts, you need to understand yourself first, the mentality, and understand your light body and your mental health of why you doing it. Are you doing it because of a mental crush, or you feel like, oh, you're naturally resonating with what you like based upon what's going on in your life at the moment, right? So you need to figure out what's relative to you, and then you can start to get some type of moral compass out of that. So you can find out what's right and wrong. This is something that could be good for you to do, but if someone else tried to do that, they couldn't do it the way you do it because you have more mental resilience and you find you have way more of a familiarity and a comfort zone when it comes to doing that. When you do it, it actually helps you be more creative and productive. If someone else do that shit, it's counterproductive and it actually holds them back. You know what I'm saying? Because it don't naturally resonate with them. That's the epitome of a motherfucker who end up becoming a street nigga, and then your cousin see you in the streets and they trying to become like you because they're inspired by their cousin in the street shit. But the minute they try to do street shit, they can't handle doing all the terms and conditions when it comes to being a street nigga, because you not no street nigga. You just following another motherfucker who you were inspired by, who just happened to be a street nigga and jumped outside the porch and all that type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all gotta understand, oh, do I like being in monogamous type relationships? Do I like just being with one person at a time? Or do I like having polygamous relationships and shit like that? I can have an open relationship. I can be in a relationship with multiple people at the same time and fuck all of them and shit like that. And then I still can be creative and productive the same way how I've been doing. So everything is a self-projection, right? And anything you self-projecting is just gonna show what you self-reflecting about. So it don't matter how you try to misconstrue it. Misconstrued it. It don't matter how you try to manipulate it. It don't matter how you try to word it. It don't matter about the wordplay. It don't care. It don't matter how much talent you try to use as like a public persona to cover certain shit up. If a motherfucker see a little chink in your armor, they see that vulnerable spot, ain't nothing gonna deter them away of the fact, that's a weakness. I'm gonna keep pointing out that little weakness you got. I'm gonna keep pointing at that little thing that make you be vulnerable and shit like that, because it start to show what you actually give a fuck about. And a lot of y'all be giving a fuck about some judgmental ass spirits, because y'all be judgmental ass spirits, and they be projecting that and programming y'all into this sentiment of, oh, you know what I'm saying, it got to be like some monogamous relationship, and you got to have this type of wedding and matrimony and get married inside a goddamn church with a suit and tie and a bridal wedding and shit like that with a big ass cake, and go through different initiations based upon Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. So the monotheism God, and then anything outside of that is like paganism and polytheism, and then it just trickled down into monogamous and polyamorous type relationships. It's just, in general, all these are man-made concepts, but y'all as men and women, y'all not trying to come up with y'all own thinking quality of how y'all look at it and how y'all want to experience it and what naturally resonate with you and what you able to handle and not handle and shit like that. You get lost into judgmental ass spirits, and y'all get lost into what they be self-projecting, and then they make y'all feel like they basically turn y'all into fucking victims type shit. You know what I'm saying? You just self-victimizing, you just self-projecting what you victimizing yourself about and shit like that, and you wonder why, how come all these other motherfuckers ain't in the same sentiment that you in and shit like that. No, you just sound like some fucking incel, and you getting lost into someone else's thoughts, ideas, and their mindset. You ain't having your own mindset of how to look at it. That's all that's happening. So that's why y'all be saying this rhetoric. So in general, right, the minute you sit there and you figure out, oh, okay, this person just has poor dick management and poor pussy management, that's another concept. The actual thing y'all need to be paying attention to is what's the intentions and the mental health behind what they're doing that. But y'all don't be caring about that light body, that mental body first, for the most part. So the minute you start to see their mental health and where they at in the space they in and the actual intentions, even if they did fuck like 35 different people and shit like that, you start to look at it like, well, they was doing it in healthy practice though. They sat there and they made sure they got tested multiple times. They had no access to them until they did this, and this first. And it never stopped them from being creative and productive. So look at all these fucking rappers and shit like that. They man, these niggas be walking hoes. Including the females. They be walking hoes. They be overly going. They be have 30, 20 plus body count and shit like that. Look at A$AP Rocky and Rihanna. You don't think Rihanna got like a big ass body count? You don't think A$AP Rocky got a long ass body count and shit like that? Oh, them fucking a whole bunch of people, but they have a beautiful family together. And they have a perfect dynamic, perfect unit and shit like that currently. And they've been together for fucking 5 years and shit like that. But y'all don't bring that shit up because it's A$AP Rocky and Rihanna, and y'all get lost into adultery and idol worship and shit like that. Y'all don't look at it like that. But these people they bleed and got flesh and blood just like you. They in the physical just like you. So it's like you can't sit there and you move the goalposts and shit like that. You need to worry about the mentality and the intentions that Rihanna and A$AP Rocky in to make their dynamic work to look like the celebrity power couple who also happen to be billionaires. Well, Rihanna a billionaire, but like you get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? And understand that hierarchy and shit like that. And then you start to understand what you can and can't handle type shit. Some people can be very casual about that. Some people look at sex as more sacred, and they ain't just gonna share their body or be that vulnerable around doing that. You know what I'm saying? Doing that around just anybody type shit. You know what I'm saying? They take it more serious, and then some people take other aspects of their life more serious and shit like that. But it's your life though. So based upon what you're trying to do with your life and your lifestyle, you're making a certain style, a certain talent, a certain creative gift, and you know what I'm saying? You emanating your dream and imagination of how you look at it from your personal perspective, and you expanding that space, you expanding that spirit, that space, and turning nothing into something. You expanding that mentality. You're expanding that, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like you end up expanding your mind, and from you expanding your mind, you just expanding your spirit. Not saying you're supposed to do that in reverse, because a lot of y'all be doing that shit in reverse. Y'all be thinking, oh yeah, the more I do some shit in the physical, that means in the spirit realm, I'm gonna be luxury and luxurious and all that type of shit. When y'all don't be in that spiritual mindset first, aka the space that you in that creativity, productivity space first, and then it trickle down into a mindset and the way you think and feel and what resonate with you naturally, and then it turn into the physical, and then it turn into the technology and the tools that people utilize of being in the flesh. So at that point, a motherfucker can have that many body counts and shit like that. And but if you start to pay attention to the mentality and the attention they was in when they was doing that, you start to sit there and look at it like, yeah, you fucked a whole bunch of people, but like you a cool ass person and shit like that. Oh, you live this type of life. Oh, you're really creative and capable of doing this, that, and the third. You get what I'm saying? Like yeah, it's like y'all get lost into fucking, like the way I be looking at it, y'all be getting lost into like man-made concepts. Like y'all get lost into the creations of how other people be looking at it, and you have to follow suit of what look right and wrong based upon what society says, instead of just making your own mindset about it. Like what? It's like y'all start self-projecting other people's good and bad experiences, or you had a couple bad experiences, but you think like everyone totality be feeling like that. You can't force someone to think a certain way. Not everyone be experiencing the same things, bro. It's based upon the geographical location and the space and the time and you know what I'm saying, where you at when it comes to experiences and the space that you in, based upon what you paying attention to. And what you paying attention to is what you're gonna attract. And then it's gonna start showing the time you put into something, and then that's what turned to matter. So you turn nothing into something. So you turn that nothing, that experience, into physical experiences, and then you just think the whole world is gonna go based upon what you experiencing. No, motherfucker, you need to create a new way of how to experience it and how to look at it. like that's really it. Otherwise, y'all just sound like incels. Y'all just sound like rip pill motherfuckers. Y'all just sound like gym bros. Y'all just sound like feminists or some shit like that. Y'all just sound like misogynistic and misandry. It go both ways. Y'all just get lost in the left and right brain and shit like that. Y'all get lost between y'all masculine and feminine energies and shit like that. Y'all don't know how to put yourself in a space of creating another way of how to look at it, or creating a new way of how to conduct your body count, or a new intention, or a new mental health program and shit like that, or a new, you know what I'm saying, like. Y'all know how to do that. Y'all just get lost into the past, into that memory and that pocket of time of it going bad. But you acting like the good don't come with the bad. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it happened. It was bad when you did that one time, but if you try to do it again in a different type of space and a different type of mindset, it could end up being good that time. But you ain't trying to see that result. You just like, oh yeah, every time you try to do this thing, it's always gonna be this result. It's always gonna be bad. If that was the case, we want to see A$AP Rocky and Rihanna together then, and y'all want to be trying to aspire to be them and their little relationship and shit like that. like what? And then look, I don't even give a fuck that they celebrities and shit like that, or they have like a whole bunch of money and monetary gain or whatever and stuff like that. Regardless if they had that money or not, that space and mentality that they in, they're clearly a happy family unit. Otherwise, she wouldn't keep having kids with this nigga back to back. You know what I'm saying? Like she's happy with this nigga. So y'all need to pay attention to the intentions and the mental health behind why the count was like that in the first place. And the minute you start adding that up and get into the mentality and the lore behind that and shit like that, you start finding certain things out. And I know motherfuckers probably ain't gonna try to ask that question, or some of them don't even give a fuck about it. They'll be sitting there all like, I don't give a fuck about their past. They wasn't with me. They experiencing me now. So it's like, yeah, exactly. They experienced a whole bunch of different people. Now they're experiencing you. You're a whole different sentient being. You have your own mentality. You have your own imagination. You have your own way of looking about things. Otherwise, your ass wouldn't be here, and you wouldn't be in no human vessel right now. Like what? Like ain't nobody can read your fucking mind, nigga. You got your own mind. You got your own dream. So you mean to tell me when motherfuckers go to sleep, we can see what the fuck you was dreaming about? No, you would have to tell us what the fuck you dreaming about. I don't see that dream unless you show me what that dream is. And you can only describe it based upon the language we use it in. You know what I'm saying? Like points of references and sentences and people placing these things. We need to have a term of agreement based upon like just language in itself for us to even understand it. And then you're only gonna say it from your perspective, so it's what you're experiencing. Just because you experiencing it doesn't mean I'm experiencing the same thing, but I can resonate with your experience if we went through the same type of things or had that same type of thought, or you're like an empathetic type of person and shit like that. Like yeah. So at that point, it just turned into a nigga who give a fuck. They fucked out that many people. Okay, they just well-oiled running machine and they know how to fuck good. You know what I'm saying? Okay, but what's the intention in the mentality, and was it healthy there first? Was the space they was in healthy first before they did that? Because some people can, you know what I'm saying? They going through shit in their life and stuff like that, or like I was saying earlier, where motherfuckers be having multiple wives and they make a business and a culture out of that, and that's how it's set up when it comes to their paternal maternal line and shit like that, and how they like to run their family and things of that nature, right? Like, yeah, like we done seen that with Native Americans, all type of shit. So it's all like you just gonna rule out that whole thing because they know how to fuck good. Yeah, y'all be fucking inside the mind all the time and shit like that. You take one horny thought, or you take one thought that resonate with that dream or passion you trying to do, and you resonate with another thought, and you having sex within the mind. So you all like, oh, I'm gonna take these two polar opposite energies and make a new energy out of that, and that becomes a new experience. And then it get played out into the physical in some shape and form. It's a new light. It's a new information. It's a new vision. It's a new desire. It only turns bad when you get lost into the mind. It only get bad when you get lost into the flesh. You only get back when you get lost in your creativity. So you start sleeping on your own capabilities and shit like that, and you start getting all depressed and shit, and you think you ain't capable of doing certain things, or it needs to play out in this specific paradigm, this specific way. When it's like, nigga, you just need to live life for real. Y'all see that's y'all problem. Y'all be sentient, but y'all not in life. Y'all ain't trying to make no new growth, no new fruit, some new life of how to look at shit. You only want it to be in one shape and form. Formulation, program, something. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You're just trying to get lost into that sum of things instead of making a new something. You ain't trying to be the next big thing. You get lost into that thing. You get lost into the thing of what other people already done did. Like that's how I be looking at shit. Oh God, like, bro, like, you need to pay attention to the healthy mentality that was in to even get into that space to even fuck that many bitches or fuck that many niggas. And then, yeah, you just go from there. If they have good pussy management, good dick management, why the fuck you give a fuck about them fucking all them niggas? They ain't you. It's their experience and what they had to go through to even get to where they at. Motherfuckers can change. Y'all do know that, right? But at the same time, y'all be having like selective type judgment and shit like that. Y'all be picking and choosing when you want to give a motherfucker grace and when they shouldn't get grace and shit like that. Because y'all got judgmental ass spirits. And y'all got that from like a monotheism god or some shit like that. Y'all be having like some, you know what I'm saying? Or like some shit in the court of law or some shit like that. Like, yeah. Y'all be having judgmental ass spirits and shit like that. Y'all be judging every goddamn thing. You know what I'm saying? You want to put the gavel and be like, oh, I was right. Oh, I told you they ain't shit. Because this and the third. Man, motherfuckers ain't giving a fuck about that shit, nigga. Anybody giving a fuck about that shit, niggas? Like, that's them and their family, their kids and shit like that. Like if that dynamic work for them, it work for them. What the fuck they gotta do? What the fuck they gotta do if you must want to be part of their family? You must want to fuck their husband. You must trying to fuck their wife. Like, after a while, like, on God, for real, we have to look at that shit like man to man. And then some of y'all still little boys and girls and shit like that. Y'all ain't men and women for real. Y'all not like, you be TV, motherfucker. Oh God. This my channel. This my program. We changing that whole shit up. It's like y'all don't sit there and think that, like, bro, like, they could have fucked all them bitches. They could have fucked all them niggas. Man, all they dick game was weak. All they stroke game was weak. All that sex was trash. All that pussy they got was trash. And then they got with your ass. And then you was the best dick. You was the best womb pussy they ever got in their life and shit like that. And then they never get with no one else ever again. They stop being casual. They start acting real unfamiliar, uncasual. And they like, oh yeah, I want to be with this nigga. I don't want to marry this nigga and shit like that. I ain't never experienced this shit before. But it's like, y'all don't look at it like that. Y'all don't look at it like that. Like, oh yeah, they was going through all those different experiences trying to find some bomb pussy, bomb dick. They couldn't find none of that. And they find that one nigga, right, who probably don't got that high of a body count type shit, and they end up getting with them, and then they end up sticking with them for life after that. And yeah, they body count probably like 30, but it took them 30 niggas to get to your ass. But y'all don't think like that. Y'all don't think like that. Like, yeah, y'all don't think like that. Like, you ain't trying to pay attention to the mental quality, the light body behind that first. You know what I'm saying? The first shape and form of what that is. As long as they being creative and productive from an overall perspective, it ain't gonna matter. Type shit. How the fuck they getting lost into sin? And in a desire and shit like that, if they practice it in a healthy type way. And that's the only thing God gonna see. God only gonna see the intention and the mentality you was in when you was doing that. Man, motherfucker, you just fucking. You know what I'm saying? Because God is just all possibilities. But y'all don't be looking at God like that. Y'all look at God like a deity, and y'all like deifying shit. Y'all like worshiping shit. AKA going to war and making a battleship out of your space. You know what I'm saying? Esoteric battle spaceship and shit like that, and going to war and fight that demon's battles, that deity's battles, instead of you being into your light body, your glorified body, your God and goddess body, and make your own creation, your own way of how to do that. Otherwise, you want to be sentient, and God want to give you that ability to do that on your own, in some way, shape, and form, for you to be an individual and have your own mind in the first place. Like, y'all be working backwards as hell and shit like that. Y'all be getting lost in the other people's mentality of how to go about that shit. Like, damn, man, like. Like damn, bro. Like it's not that deep. Y'all, yeah, bro. It's like after a while, it just get petty, bro. It just get sad. Like I just look at it like, man, y'all niggas just get lost into the flesh and mentality behind some shit instead of making some new way how to look at it and shit like that. That homegirl could have been cool as hell. Could have been silent, but the minute you hear in your eardrums, oh, she fucked 20 niggas before me. What I'ma do? That bitch a whore. She a hoe. She a prostitute. She a prostitute. She a thought. Oh, same thing with the niggas and shit like that. Man, this nigga is giving out that dick and shit like that. Man, so many bitches done slobbed and globbed and mopped all over that shit and shit like that. Man, this nigga just spraying the whole terrain and shit like that. Man, this nigga with a Diddy party, he had so many orgies and shit like that. This nigga took too many honey packs and all that type shit. You ain't trying to think you can be his new pack. You can be his new pack. You know what I'm saying? You could be his new Viagra and shit like that. You could be the new bitch who get his dick hard or some shit like that. You get lost into that mentality and shit like that. It's like you lose. It's like you start getting lost and you start doubting your own capabilities. Like you can't just be the one who locked that nigga down. Because like your mentality is cool as hell. They resonate with you more than somebody else and shit like that. But like that shit crazy, bro. So for the most part, yeah, y'all need to compartmentalize and start having that type of dialogue. Oh, what's their mental health looking like? Do they have a healthy or unhealthy mind state? And based upon what they're paying attention to, that's the type of people they're gonna attract and shit like that. So then it started to turn the conversation of how they end up fucking that one nigga who ended up having that STD, or that one female who had that STD and shit like that, who was diseased and sick in the mind and shit like that. Or they kept on crashing out, acting depressed, and going overly crazy about this one hoe that they fuck and shit like that, and then them cheating and them doing them dirty because of this, that, and third, because they was in an unhealthy mind state, right? And then based upon them being in an unhealthy mind state, you start, you know what I'm saying? It start crippling your mind and shit like that. So from you having a crippled ass mind and shit like that, you're gonna start trying to fulfill the void, because in general, all spirits like to be fulfilled. They like to be into some type of shape and form. So from you being in some type of shape and form, if you don't know how to let certain things go, it's gonna turn to a mental crutch. And based upon you being into a mental crutch, you start honing in and like put, like, you know what I'm saying, clawing all over it and shit like that, and you ain't able to let that shit go. And then eventually you're gonna put yourself into an experience in life where it forces you to let that shit go and to let go of certain thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions and mentalities, because it's not gonna help you be more creative or productive or put yourself in a different space outside of what you already done experiencing shit like that. And that's the spirituality in a nutshell. Something that's greater than you and is broader than you, and you putting yourself in another space based upon going of you looking more broad outside of your individual space. Your individual space is just your individual spirit, which is just your soul. So you need to get outside your bias and explore your horizons of who you is in general.